Oblivion was my first ever Bethesda game. It was one of the first games I played when we got our first PC when I was like in 3rd or 4th year high school. And Oblivion changed how I see games, especially in terms of storytelling and immersiveness. You see, before then, I was mainly playing games on the Game Boy and PSP. And so before playing Oblivion, the best games for me were games like Pokemon Leaf Green, Final Fantasy VI, FF7 Crisis Core, GTA Vice City Stories, and Metal Gear Peace Walker. Oh, and the various Harvest Moon games. But then when we got our first decent PC with internet connection, everything changed. I vaguely remember, but the first few games we got were GTA San Andreas, obviously, then Oblivion and Fallout 3. Then not long after, we got Assassin's Creed 3 and Brotherhood, if I'm remembering correctly. But Oblivion stood out so much because it was such a different beast. Especially for the kid me who was never played a massive open world Bethesda RPG. You see, the game hooked me right from the start. Right from the character creation screen. At first I thought it was just your typical character creation where you have to customize a face and name your character. But imagine, to my surprise, I could play different races of characters. I could be an Imperial, or a Nord, an Elf, or even an Orc or a Cat person. But what really got me hooked were the Argonians, because they just look so different from the characters that I used to play. I mean, Orcs and Cat people are kind of not new, at least to me at that time. But Argonians, lizard people, just look so alien and so out of place. And it made me wonder and curious about what it would be like to play this game as one of the lizard people. Because from the short introduction with Uriel Septim, it looked like the world is supposed to be filled with humans. Like, in a world where there are humans and maybe elves and orcs and cat people, how would they react to this reptilian race? So my mind was just throwing out questions, wondering how the game will change if I choose to play as an Argonian. Would I be able to talk? Would I be able to do everything that humans can? Do I start as an evil person because lizards are cold-blooded? How would playing as a lizard person affect my very first experience with this game? And so out of curiosity, I decided to play as an Argonian. I decided to jump into this unknown world as a creature that I also have no idea what they are about. I was diving into the abyss, unsure who I am and what to expect. And after 30 or 50 hours of amazing gameplay, I decided to make a new game and try out playing as a human race. I wanted to see what will change. And that's when I realized that nothing changed much. Some NPCs have different comments and starting dispositions. I have some new abilities and lost the ability to breathe water, making me manage my own oxygen when swimming. But outside of that, nothing significant changed. 97% of the world reacted to my Breton character the same as when I was an Argonian. But you see, that didn't make the game bad for me. Because that was when I learned about the actual meaning of role-playing in RPG. I quickly realized that it wasn't just about the world reacting differently to your choices into what your character actually is. It was about the player coming up with backstories and ideas in your own head. Because, especially during the time that the OG Oblivion came out, it would have been super difficult to create a system that is extremely reactive to the player. However, regardless of these limitations, Oblivion and other Bethesda games in general gave players the tools to make role-playing an awesome experience. And the tools they gave weren't complex or micromanagement mechanics that made the game a chore. No. What they did was create an extremely believable world that offers its players the freedom to shape characters and create motivations that are still within the confines of the established lore. By this, I'm talking about the thousands of years of history that we don't get to see in the Elder Scrolls games. Instead, we can read them from the in-game books that we can collect when playing, or sometimes from official external media. I mean, it was insane. It baffled me when I decided to delve a bit deeper into Elder Scrolls lore, and I realized that Bethesda really created history for this game. A history that encapsulates almost everything, from the creation of Nirn to various Doomsday-like events that beckoned heroes and spelled villains' demise. Then gameplay-wise, systems like spellmaking allowed a certain type of freedom that almost gave players infinite power. I mean, in Oblivion and other Elder Scrolls games, you have the option to play as a grounded warrior who only wields a powerful ebony axe and is trained in heavy armor, No special powers, no insane magical capabilities. Or you could play as a super beefed up warrior who carries an enchanted longsword that absorbs souls and causes fire damage, while also wearing armor that lets them walk on water or become totally invisible 100% of the time. All these were up to the players. If you're playing as a simple thief, you're free to do so. You can sneak through cities and earn a living fencing your stolen wares, ignoring the main quest and how Marin's Dagon's followers are about to bring an actual apocalypse. And if you want to play as the most powerful wizard in Cyrodiil, blasting enemies with AoE shock blast and pacifying hostiles with paralyzed spells, you are free to do so. And experiencing and realizing all this during the first time I played Oblivion made me appreciate the game and gaming in general. I realized that games can be so immersive and breathtaking that you could create your own stories within a digitally crafted world, and that you don't need to follow the game's main story to enjoy its best aspects. Years later, when I played Skyrim, I kinda had the same experience, going into an unknown world and simply exploring and discovering things about it. However, after a dozen hours or so, something was off. And before I tell them, I want to note that I enjoyed Skyrim. I did spend hundreds of hours with that game, but it wasn't the same. Acrobatics and athletics were gone, setting a very limited movement variety for each character. Spellmaking also disappeared, limiting players to only use a limited set of spells, and taking out customization for mage builds. Environmental storytelling was better than ever though, but for customizing one's character, the game was lacking compared to Oblivion. But then, a few years later, I decided to play Morrowind, and oh my god, that's when I realized that Oblivion, while I loved the game so much, was just a distant echo of what Morrowind was, reverberating into the outskirts of a long-lost valley. Because you see, in Morrowind you can jump from one point of the map to another through the use of enchanting or spell making. You can wear boots that turn you blind but become fast as a minotaur whose ass is burning. You had more than 10 joinable factions, and sometimes joining one meant you can't join the other because progress in one means destroying the other faction. There was no fast travel because you had Silt Striders. You have mark and recall spells that allow you to mark a point and teleport to it. There are even teleportation services that can teleport you to mage guilds or other teleport stations. And there was the levitation spell, a spell that allowed you to literally walk on air and feel like an insane unstoppable wizard. The perfect embodiment of how Morrowind's gameplay caters to player freedom and imagination. All this we lost, never to be seen again. Not in Oblivion, not in Skyrim. And some part of me also believes you won't be seeing this in Elder Scrolls 6. Now, I do not want to rant about Elder Scrolls 6 since we literally have no details about it, aside from it's probably coming sometime in the next 5 years. But I wish and I hope that it wouldn't be Starfield ported in the Elder Scrolls world. Heck, I hope it's not Skyrim 2.0 or a slightly improved Oblivion remastered. If anything, I want it to be more similar to Morrowind. I want it to give the players back the insane mechanics and the quirks that a sandbox Bethesda RPG used to have. Elder Scrolls 6 doesn't have to be a perfect game. Heck, it doesn't have to be a game of the year kind of game. Just want it to have a world that feels alive, with quirky characters and systems that promote player freedom above streamlined systems that's straight out of corpo asses who haven't played a game in the last few decades.